What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala. Oh, it feels like so long since it's just been you and me, Terrence. It's been like ages.
Only 2 episodes, 2 episodes.
Feels like ages, man. Feels like ages.
Correct, but I think we covered a lot of ground in the last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, the comments and everything have been all been very, very positive, which is was a huge relief for me. I was very worried that we get a lot of flack for whatever. But yeah, it's all been good.
No, but can you talk through that a bit? Because I remember you mentioning that going into that podcast also you had a certain trepidation, right?
Yeah, of course, because it's such a sensitive topic. I think it's on everyone's lips now. Everyone has a different opinion about it. And a lot of times, I think a lot of people, when it's just you and me especially, when I choose to sort of take a devil's advocate side of things, people, they like to set up a straw man or a straw man version of me, which, for example, says that I never said that Tan Boon Lee should not face the full wrath of the law. In fact, I said it wasn't, to me, it's not even like that much of a discussion because I feel like the law just needs to clamp down on him, right? But that doesn't mean that I do not think that the law should clamp down on him. But people seem to think that, because Harish says that is a big deal, so Terrence is saying that it's not a big deal and the law shouldn't clamp down on him. So a lot of these kind of strawman things have been brought up about me, and then people asking me to clarify. I'm like, that's not what I said at all. And it's just, so it tells you when you read the comments like that, it tells you that people are not really listening to the podcast as opposed to they're only waiting for what they want to hear. And then if there's any other argument, they just shut off and then they say, let me ask you this, Terrence, that kind of thing. So I think it's just, in the same thing, you and I, we disagree about whether Shanmugam's post was strong enough, and I say it's not strong enough. I'm not saying that that I think I agree with his opinion of whether where racial relations are. I'm just saying that it can be interpreted differently. But again, people say that I'm like saying that racial relations are fantastic, and this and that. I'm like, so this is exactly what strawman is. You build up this fake straw version of Terrence, and then you attribute all these things that were never said to him. Then after you ask me to go and reply on his behalf when I never said those things. So
So you're saying there's a Yala butt Terrence and there's the real life Terrence, and they're not one and the same for some perspectives, right?
No, there's no Yala butt Terrence. There's one Terrence. Then there's like in some people's minds what the strawman Terrence is.
No, what I meant the Yala butt Terrence is because I think more often than not you do take the devil's advocate perspective, but not saying you agree with the perspective, right? Yeah. The point of this podcast also is for us to try taking different perspectives, but you're saying that in some way that is attributed to the real Terrence.
Correct. Yeah, that's why one thing I like about this is that we get to flirt with dangerous ideas here. Not dangerous, but we get to flirt with ideas here. And that's the only kind of flirting that, at our age we should
that you can do now.
Yeah. At our age we should be doing flirting with ideas. So yeah, we just flirt with them, but doesn't mean that we settle down with them or that we love them or we're stuck with them forever or anything right? So this is so broadly speaking, I was just saying that I was very afraid that a lot of people would take the podcast that way because I was planning to, question more of what Studio was saying as opposed to just taking it wholesale and saying, I agree with you
And do you think after the podcast, it was a fruitful discussion for you?
Yeah. I think it was. In the sense that as long as I realized, given that I was a minority in the room, I could use that to my advantage also, right? And speak up.
Is it how?
Just speak up, and then if anybody disagrees, I just accuse them of majority advantage.
I know quite a few comments echoed the same sentiment that you, me, and Sudhir had this menage a trois got a very good chemistry.
Yeah.
Very good chemistry. And what you hear was real, man.
Yeah, it was real.
We really didn't. I mean, we didn't plan to discuss anything in particular, and we just let it flow.
Yeah.
And we are talking to Sudhir about working on some other shit, cause it's fun to chat with him.
Correct. Yeah. But that was
fun.
I think that was quite impressive because it was all put together quite quickly, right? Within a week. I think one Friday, Sudhir said, "Hey, let's do something," and then within a week, we already film, record, and put out 2 episodes already, Yeah.
Yeah, and it was 2 hours 40 minutes. I think before we started, we were like, okay, let's target maybe 1 hour, 1.5 hours. If it goes on a bit, maybe 2 max, lah.
Yeah.
It was 2 hours and 40 minutes, man.
Yeah, man. Wow, that's a strong one.
Yeah.
But we haven't done our weekly plug
fun.
or anything yet.
Oh yeah, fuck. What if people dropped off already? What if they're like, here's this majority Chinese person finally experiencing the woes of a minority person. I'm done.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why.
Let's
so then, would you like to do the honors?
No,
if this
podcast has made you stop and think, even for 1 second, please do help recommend it to at least one person today. Like today, now, just send a link to it. It's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, so yeah, up to you. And even TikTok. We're now even on TikTok.
Oh yeah, TikTok.
Yeah, why don't you put out a little plug for our TikTok?
Yeah, fucking we're boomers on TikTok, man. We have uploaded our first 2 videos on TikTok, which is essentially what we think are the most interesting 1-minute excerpts from a recent podcast. And we're going to be experimenting with it. So it'll be great if you could go there and just follow us on TikTok, people.
Yeah.
Fucking TikTok. Yeah, we beat the TikTok bug.
Yeah.
And we're on TikTok.
Amidst all the other hot tub live streams and all that you're watching on
TikTok.
TikTok.
That's why. Yeah. So your scroll feed should be like hot tub live stream, hot tub live stream, 1-minute discussion on race relations, hot tub live stream, hot tub live stream.
Yeah.
Very healthy. Everybody needs a balance.
Yep.
Everybody needs a balance.
But yeah, speaking of balance, it seems like we don't have a balance of this here in Singapore and Hong Kong. What is this? What is this balance of these 2 items, of these 2 things?
This balance that Terence is talking about is essentially the balance of tight COVID restriction rules for everyone in Singapore and Hong Kong versus the need to maintain the status as a global hub for talent, for foreign talent.
Where do you first hear about this?
I saw an article on South China Morning Post, which was interesting because it was like a day or 2 after the news broke that, that British man who was filmed not wanting to wear a mask on MRT and who was trying to convince other commuters why masks don't work. He was kind of like, I think the investigations is still ongoing, but he might be subject to 6 months in jail, I believe. And he was quoted as saying that the police showed up to his house, they arrested him, and why can't he just be released to go back to the UK because he was planning to leave anyway. So I remember seeing an article. Then I saw this article on South China Morning Post, kind of talking about the balance that Terence mentioned. Like, if you make your restrictions for expats too tight, how is Hong Kong and Singapore going to maintain their status as a hub for foreign talent? Yeah, and when I say foreign talent, is the expats even foreign talent got tiers, right? Yeah, these kind of like people won't care about the foreign talent who are locked away in their dorms. These sort of conversations are about the expats who maybe came to Singapore from developed countries and in the corporate world.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the discussion is also not just about Singapore but also about in general Southeast Asia because in terms of vaccinations, I think the region is lagging behind, like obviously Europe and America, and the response to COVID hasn't been the most united as well, I would say. I think every country has its own different schemes and plans. There have been discussions about possible travel bubbles or vaccine passports and all these things, but it's taking quite a while just to talk through the details compared to how it is in the EU or even just within the whole of the US itself or something . So
Yeah.
in terms of travel, like our aviation industry has been quieter compared to other regions. Yeah.
But I mean, people are still traveling now. Like, every time I see a plane in the sky, right, I'm like, who the fuck is in that plane? But people are still traveling because the rules right now, the policy is that the citizens and permanent residents of Singapore, which make up 71% of our population of 5.7 million, can leave and enter freely, supposedly. And 1.23 million work pass holders, including professionals and executives, must obtain an approval to re-enter. And it was a process to that they apply for, but it's apparently been suspended because of the recent spike in domestic cases. Yeah, so of course, if your job really is like strategic and you need to travel, yeah, there might be exceptions. But by and large, I think for expats to travel, it is fucking hard lah.
Yeah, correct. So I mean, what do you think when you first saw this wave of news and even the news about that 39-year-old man and everything?
I mean, my first initial reaction is like, shut up. And then, I mean, I really tried to think about it from other angles, and yeah, so where I'm at right now is that I think for them to kind of, so if you look at it from two angles, one is from the expats perspective. Some of them really haven't seen their family for 2 years, right? And I think that can be super hard. If you've had a kid, your parents haven't seen your family, that can be super hard. Then there's also the aspect of Singapore and Hong Kong, whether, or at least Singapore, like whether we will lose our attractiveness to foreign talent. But that's my starting point. Shut up. What about you?
Yeah, I mean that 39-year-old guy, firstly, I thought what he did was really antisocial lah, right? In the sense that even if you don't believe in it, if it's the law in a place, then you have to obey the law lah, right? And not be trying to encourage other people or calling them, names or whatever he did for following the law lah, right? So it's the same thing you see when sometimes you see travelers who flock to very sacred sites across Southeast Asia, and then they take off their clothes, literally, to take photos or selfies. I mean, who does that really hurt, But it's just really disrespectful, and it's very, it's just something like really frowned upon by a lot of the communities here, lah. And that's the thing, right? So if you have broken the law but you don't want to face the consequences of it, you thought that you're some special immunity, then that's your white privilege or whatever privilege it is that you enjoy as a colonial master talking, lah, right? Yeah, so that one's pisses people off. And then the other thing was that I thought that we've had a second and maybe you can even consider it like a third wave of COVID and everything, right? This was, I guess, a second wave.
Yeah.
But the one thing you aside from just the fact whether or not you open your borders, the other thing is just that you look at the mortality rates from COVID in Singapore compared to other places. As much as we say that Singapore is very capitalist, everything, it kind of stands true that the mortality rate is one of the lowest in the world. I think about 6 per million cases or something like that. So there is a sense of really trying to take care of the population first before you think about think about the economics of things, right? So in the US, for some reason, I guess because they've got a lot more space, or maybe they have. I think the vaccination drives have been a lot more. A lot faster. They've been able to procure the vaccines a lot faster. So it's been easier for them to open up.
Because they had that scare, right? And they had that scare which freaked everyone the fuck out,
Sorry, which scare?
When they were suffering like crazy, with the number of deaths and all that. And it's one of those things, maybe that was a wake-up call for people to realize it's real, and then the drive for vaccination, it was easier to get it past the Congress, the Senate. Whereas in Singapore, thankfully, things haven't been that dire, but that also leads to some complacency.
Correct.
But
plus various reasons are like the US, they also had my friend was telling me the lottery, they had the lottery for taking the vaccine, but Singapore, we still don't have it. Yeah.
But okay, so one thing I was thinking, so admittedly, I haven't spent time abroad as an expat because I went to study and then I was summoned back to Singapore by the company that facilitated those studies. But you spent 2 years in New York as an expat, lah, right?
Yeah.
So how do you feel dealing with the laws of New York? Or were you like, fuck, I can eat chewing gum everywhere. Yeah, fuck yeah, man. Or like
of New York specifically.
Yeah, because I mean that's the longest. That's where you worked as a professional for a period of time, like. And did you feel like, I'm not American, why do I have to be subject to American laws or some shit? Or did the Singapore training or following rules prepare you well for adapting to any country's laws?
I mean not just Singapore training. I think anybody with some common sense would understand that a law is a law. You should try and follow it, lah. But yeah, I mean, in the US, I mean, for example, it's just the small things, right? They don't call us, when you're an expat in the US, they don't call you a foreign talent. It's not that. It's just such a positive spin on it, lah. They don't even call you expat.
They call you an alien.
They call you an alien, immigrant alien or that kind of thing. So just the word itself, words matter. So the word itself makes you realize like you're not that welcome. And I mean, the immigration process is, I don't know. Every time I was applying for a visa, it was like I was always prepared for the worst. Like either the immigration officer would be very rude or things like that. So they always warn you, don't mess around with the immigration officials when you're entering the US and all that, because they can literally just turn you around and get you on the flight back home. So it's just not as welcome, and they had this feeling that there's always this feeling that everybody is trying to move to the US and create a life there, which there are a lot of people trying to do that. But even if you come from a more developed place like Singapore as well, there's that same sentiment. They don't treat you any differently. So it's you don't get that sense of like, like how come there's so many rules and why is it so troublesome? You just learn you gotta deal with it. If not, you gotta leave.
Oh, so you're saying because it's almost the supply of people who want to move to the US is too high, so the country has the leverage. The ball is in their court, and you guys have to kind of brown nose the country to stay in.
Correct, exactly. And there are a lot of strange rules when it comes to the visas and things like that you have to get around as well. So it's a very long process, even for someone who has gone to university in the US and everything. It's not easy to get a visa.
Yeah. I think because the thing is, when I hear people like, okay, so if an expat comes to Singapore, and these are, I guess, the expats that seem to be outlined in these articles, maybe work for a tech company, a corporate, maybe move the whole family here, and they can't go back. And okay, it's sad that you can't see your family for 2 years.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are Singaporeans who have relatives abroad who also haven't seen their family for 2 years.
Yeah.
My mom hasn't seen her family in Malaysia for the longest ever seen in her life.
Yeah.
And when it's almost like, exactly the power dynamic you mentioned, right? The last time, I think way back, we did that one interview with 2 foreign workers in Singapore, and we have seen the thing be mentioned again and again. Like, these foreign workers, they know that they don't have leverage, so they're almost fearful of doing anything to prevent them from coming to Singapore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of similar to what you were saying when you were working in New York. Whereas the certain tier of expats who are maybe the higher income status, they feel like the country is indebted to them because they are so fucking talented or something.
Yeah.
And I know this is a broad stroke. There are, of course, expats that have done wonderful things for Singapore, but when I hear people say stuff like that, I'm like, hey, you chose to come to Singapore because it afforded you a certain luxury, lower tax rates, and all that kind of crap. And now when Singapore is prioritizing our own citizens, you have an issue with that. So that, I don't know how to play devil's advocate to that,
Yeah, it's very tough for us to play devil's advocate, because I mean, to be honest, I haven't met one of these ultra talented people that you can never see anywhere that that cannot.
You haven't, you don't see them.
I mean, you see them but they don't really mingle with locals or anything like that, You know what I mean?
Like the Eduardo Saverins and all that.
I mean, Eduardo Saverin is like,
he's a PR right? He's a PR.
PR, yeah. But he's he founded Facebook, But I mean, I guess I don't want to bash too much of a certain demographic and all that. But it's just maybe just the way that we heard a stand-up comedian make a joke about it, that if you don't want so many foreigners in your country, maybe you shouldn't be calling them foreign talent, right?
Yeah,
it's a
exactly.
joke. But the truth is that words like that do matter as well, right? So being called an alien versus a foreign talent, it makes a big difference in how someone regards himself in your country as well, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, lah. Then the policy is accorded to them. I mean, like now, I mean, literally this year there was a one for tech. I think for tech entrepreneurs or people who have very senior positions in tech, lah, right? They can come to Singapore, and I think they'll be given
Tech pass or something.
yeah,
is
they'll
it?
be given very, very loose requirements in terms of what they need to be doing, whether it's advising startups or, putting money in angel investing in a startup or working in a startup even. So the fact that it so easily vacillates between any of these options tells you how much flexibility there is, lah. Basically, anyone with money can come and say, I'm an investor, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I mean, this is nothing new in our territory. It's just that maybe now that we have a COVID-19, in our faces, it's kind of annoying to someone yapping at us at the side, still saying, "Hey, how about me? I'm talented. You're shutting me out and all that, lah." That's just what it feels like, lah. Right?
So, I mean, I don't know, like, of course, the article had quotes from a few people, but that's only a few people. I'm really curious how expats who are unfortunately stuck in Singapore really feel. Like what you said, I don't think it's fair to paint at the same brushstroke across all of them, but from the quotes in the articles, there was one person in Hong Kong who was saying that, his company was registered in Malta, but he moved to Hong Kong like a few years ago, and he's employed 15 people. And he said, unless they drop all restrictions, drop all quarantine in the next 2 or 3 months, I'll probably drop the apartment, drop the office, and drop the employees, and drop the company. So it felt, when I read that, of course it's an article, there's probably a layer of polishing up or tweaking that the editor put on. But if that's the sentiment, right, I'm like, there's a reason why you set up your company in Hong Kong and got employees in set up your company in Malta and got your employees in Hong Kong. You can't pick and choose, lah, right? If you go to Hong Kong, you go to Singapore, you enjoy all the benefits. When things happen and a country is prioritizing its own citizens, you have to understand also, right? Like if a Singapore citizen is stuck, where can they go? But if you're an expat in Singapore, you still have your country to go back to. So of course the country will want to prioritize its own citizens, right?
Yeah. Correct.
So that's where, like, I don't know. And I mean, even now, right, like, granted Singapore has the vaccination rate is not that fast, I still think that Singapore is still a great place to be in this pandemic era, right? So maybe we don't even need to worry about all these little carrots dangling to attract foreign talent, because we don't even need to do it. Now we have the leverage, we have to just fucking embrace Singapore and how awesome we are to people who want to come here.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
I mean, that said, there's also the, on the reverse side, Singaporeans wanting to go to travel, right? We need to get out of Singapore as well, to, for business.
You mean for recreation or for work?
Both,
both. For business?
Yeah, we need to do both. So there is that aspect of needing to open up to, whether it's for business travelers to come here and see Singapore as well, or vice versa, lah. So there is, I guess, it's not just because, it's not entirely because of the expats who are already here, that's why we need to change things, but probably for other economic reasons as well.
Oh yeah, that one totally. But it's just when I see these sort of articles also, I feel like, wow, really? The title of the article is really, should Hong Kong and Singapore relent from tight COVID-19 rules to retain foreign talent?
Yeah.
Maybe they need to put a disclaimer that the foreign talent they're talking about is not all foreign talent. It's only some foreign talent.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it out there that I think if you drew a Venn diagram of, in one circle is people who the interview in this article or represent the demographic in this article, right? Then the other circle is people who wear spandex when they go cycling on the ECP. I tell you, those two circles, the intersection is huge. It's a huge intersection between the two.
Hey,
I
fuck you.
guarantee
I also have issues with a lot of cyclists. But the moment you say all spandex wearing cyclists are problematic, right? That's when I have to push back.
No.
Because if I was still...
I just said the Venn diagram, the overlap is very big. The overlap is big. You are on the outskirts. You're still on the outskirts.
Okay. I was going to say, you never learned anything from the discussions last week about discrimination and stereotyping. Okay, but you're talking about the overlap. You're talking about the overlap. The overlap. But I mean, right now, honestly, like today we are recording on 21st June. There was some stuff that changed today compared to yesterday, right? What changed? Are we in dining? People can dine in now?
I mean,
that was last week
up
already.
to 2 people. Yeah, 20 on the 21st. That's today. Yeah.
I also saw some articles like remember to clear your trays, because this is when the rule for getting fined for not clearing your trays also kicks in.
Yeah, correct. So a lot of new rules, new and changing rules coming up lah. Yeah,
new and changing rules. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, I guess that's where we're at with that topic of Singapore versus Hong Kong.
Yeah.
The interesting thing also that like maybe a week or two ago that was a international development which I thought is very relevant to Singapore is the G7. They agreed to establish like a minimum corporate tax rate across like countries because I think for the longest time Hong Kong and Singapore have been offering fucking low corporate tax rates and tax rates in general. And I think the move was to prevent like the corporate taxes from what they call being a race to the bottom.
Yeah, correct.
So when you look at that, it's like, okay, in some ways, Singapore is going to have to find new ways to attract foreign people.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Sudhir said also on a previous podcast, right? Like, we always think, okay, what's the worst that could happen to Singapore if we do this? But why can't we think about what is the best that could happen?
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Correct. But
yeah, man.
Yeah, I guess a good segue is to if you're an expat and you're very bored in Singapore, there are certain other activities that you can also do, which is also one of the activities of which we're gonna discuss as well in this slightly goofier topic now, right? And what is this exciting activity that you can partake in?
Well, it is to walk crabs. Yes, specifically mud crabs. Like, those crabs you see like tied up pitifully and put into a container at the wet market. You can go walk these crabs.
Yeah,
and it's an initiative by the restaurant House of Seafood in Punggol. Because apparently they said it prevents like the atrophy of the crabs and it keeps them meaty by bringing them to walk.
Yeah, so they literally have pictures of their staff and children of the staff or children of the customers holding little leashes which are tied to, on the end of the leash is tied to a crab. And then they walk the crab along the where the restaurant is, like the pier, and alongside like while walking dogs and everything as well.
Yeah. So like what do you make of it as someone who walks your dogs regularly? What do you think of walk? Can every animal be walked?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. Because I think I know people who, I mean, obviously, like some people actually walk their cats, or chinchillas and all that. They bring their pets around lah. But the I remember the thing I always when my wife when she was my then my girlfriend, one day she brought home a hamster lah, right? And then basically the first thing I told her was like, if our dog ends up killing the hamster, you must promise you will not blame the dog in whatever circumstance it is lah. And needless to say, the hamster, I mean, he was a very cute, very adorable hamster, but he didn't live a very long life with a dog in the house also lah. I cannot specifically say that it was 100% the dog who did it, but someone did something to the hamster lah. Yeah. So when you put all these animals out there in the wild, right, and shit happens to them, right, like it's just how it is like,
But you're saying that the crabs will be at risk of being eaten by another animal that's being walked.
Yeah, attacked or stepped on or something like that, right? So because your question was, are all animals suitable for walking, right? So
yeah, based on your experience with animals.
Yeah, so my thought
is, I know you haven't walked. Yeah,
crabs is a tough one, because I mean, if a dog or whatever animal comes close to it, it might try to flip it or do something nasty to it, and you can't blame anyone for that.
I think the biggest thing is like these are fucking mud crabs, right? Here they show pictures of people walking the crabs on concrete and tarmac. What the fuck? Can you imagine the crabs? It's almost like crabs were probably thinking, can you just kill me now and eat me? Like there's no water around here. And I'm guessing they also will be like, fuck, I don't want to walk. Then what, they gonna drag or something. That's why I think this whole thing, right? The interesting thing about this restaurant, it's called House of Seafood, right? It's not the first time they've done something relating to crabs that was controversial. Right?
Yeah, correct. I think previously they did the claw machine, right? Where you could grab your own crab, right?
Yeah, live crabs.
Yeah.
Where it's literally that like it's the same container that you see these crabs that are tied up and that you see in wet markets, except this is a claw machine. How ironic, right? It's a claw machine.
Yeah.
And then they put it up, they got a lot of backlash. They issued an apology. The CEO and 3 staff bowed for 30 seconds to apologize.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, right, they got a lot of marketing from that.
Yeah, they did. So in this case, were you very offended when you saw this post?
I just thought it's weird lah. It's weird. And I was surprised. This time I was surprised.
But would you say it's cruel?
I mean, I would say it's unnatural for the crab lah.
But
of course,
but then on
putting
the
them
side,
in a container.
on the flip side, when you cook a crab in mala hot pot,
true
that's
lah.
also not that natural for them lah, right?
No, and in some way, when you see them in the containers tied up, that's even worse, right? So what do you think? Do you think it's unnatural?
I mean, because I eat meat and I do eat crustaceans and all that. Oh, shellfish. I mean, it's just like the only thing strange is that like it's sort of like playing with your food, lah, right? And
like cats like that.
Yeah, and they're supposed to just like being thankful for your food and quickly killing it and eating it, right? This one seems a bit more like you're playing with it first and giving it some semblance of some kind of, I mean, you don't even know if it enjoys doing it, lah, right? And then after then you kill it and eat it, lah. Which seems even more horrendous, lah. You know, it's like you watch villain that strokes your face and like, yes, I'll take care of you now, that stabs you and kills you in those kind of movies.
Then stuff like prawning, because ultimately also prawning, the prawning place, the owner is throwing prawns into this one pond that you catch and eat.
True. But I mean, they still need to catch the prawns themselves.
The prawns have a chance of escaping. Like they just survive for as long as possible.
Yeah. To live longer and all that. La. So there is still the I guess you can say they gamified the aspect of catching the prawn, la, right? But there is still an aspect of catching the prawn. Whereas this one just feels like the crabs they've already been caught. It's not like you have to catch them again. But then that kind of goes against the whole crab claw thing as well, right?
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah. So tough, man. I do feel okay, like if I eat crabs, it's harder for me to say whether this is really cruel or anything, like, right? Because ultimately, you also you can't speak on behalf of the crab either, like, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but a lot of people are angry about it, like. A lot of people are angry about it, like.
But they're angry based on what claim?
Okay, the crab claw machine, I can see why, because the crabs were still tied up. Then every time you pull it out, then let's say you drop them because you didn't grab them properly or what, right? You drop them, there's a chance that they could break. I mean, something in them could break, right? So there's pain. They experience more pain than necessary before they're eaten. Whereas this one, I mean, objectively, you could say that, I mean, I guess walking is probably less pain than being dropped on your shell, right? So objectively, you could say, maybe this is a more humane way of dealing with your crabs. I don't know.
I guess what didn't help was the caption of their post.
Which was
like this is literally what they said. We love our crabs the same way as everyone loves their pets. To make sure our crabs are really meaty that can satisfy every of our food patrons, we would bring them out strolling along the breezy Punggol beach just to get enough exercise. So you read that, you're like, what the fuck? You think these crabs care about exercise or need exercise? Like, honestly, you think what? They're going to get jacked just from walking. So I think it was more the post that was fucked up, because Yeah, the first one also comparing like pets to crabs, but you don't eat your pets, right?
Yeah, I don't want
As
my
far as
dog.
I know,
I don't
you
want my
don't-
dog.
you don't nibble.
And then after that, I think, ooh, your leg looks so juicy and strong now. Yummy. That's
That's like some
disgusting.
Hansel and Gretel shits,
Yeah. That's weird. That's weird.
Right. So I guess maybe it's because this crab is reduced to like a marketing prop as opposed to just like respecting it as food lah. You know, I mean, there's one thing about the Japanese culture in general is like they seem to really respect their food, or at least most of them. So even when you see them slice the head off an eel or something, it's done. I mean, unless so I eat meat as well. I'm not one of those who like, oh, you know, we can't kill animals. That's cruel and all. I don't know how to wrap my head around that. But when it's done like that, you make the process of from the time they're caught to being eaten as short as possible, the better lah.
Yeah.
And I think this one is almost like extending it and using it for like some weird ass marketing. I think that's why the shadiness of it just rubs people the wrong way lah.
But how about those like you know, we say about the Japanese and all that, they respect the food well. But you've heard of them like I don't know whether it's
Whaling,
Japan or Korea. They eat like live octopus, like you know, the octopus is literally on your plate, but still like wriggling and alive, and then you put it in your mouth and you eat it lah. And apparently it's interesting because you can still feel the suckles of the octopus and everything on your teeth and all. So what
Do you say suckles or suckers?
suckers? Yeah, sorry, the suckers of the octopus.
That's what the suckles.
Yeah. I mean, the octopus is like suckling at your teeth lah.
Suckers.
Yeah, the suckers are in your teeth lah. So yeah, how do you feel about that? Because they say it's
that one I don't
fresher.
know.
It's fresher when you eat that way, right?
Because after you watch My Octopus Teacher, which is a fucking weird documentary,
Yeah.
have you watched it
Yeah,
yet?
I've seen it. Yeah.
There's also like you start to think, okay, shit, this octopuses,
Octopi
are more conscious than maybe we give them credit for,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, correct.
Then here you are eating them alive. I mean,
But it's just for
in
to be
some
fresher
way
lah,
you're
to be fresher.
eating. No, but you're eating them like a shark would eat them lah.
Yeah.
Because you also see in My Octopus Teacher, just the shark just comes and just fucking bites off like 2 tentacles
Correct.
from the octopus, and the octopus is suffering and all.
Correct.
So in some way, that is almost respecting them more. Because you're not cooking them or anything,
I see
you're
what you're
eating
saying.
them like it's like, you know, when you hear hunters who are maybe more eloquent, more articulate, and they explain their mindset for why hunting to them is more ethical than factory farming or something, is that the animals they kill, they have led like a full life, and if they get their arrow straight into the head, it kills them instantaneously, and then you almost have to work for eating the meat.
Correct,
I think the thing about factory farming is like you don't need to do anything and it shows up in a nugget.
Correct. Yep.
Right. So for octopus, maybe if you are willing to eat it raw, maybe it's even the octopus will be like, you know what? If you're willing to eat me raw, fine. I'm down with that.
Okay. I think we're getting somewhere, because what you said about the hunting, when you put that alongside a crab claw machine, right? A claw machine, not a crab claw machine. A claw machine is very different things lah. Hunting, I mean, is like fishing, or you know, in a natural environment, like in the water or on the mud or something. Then you go and grab the crab lah, right? You catch a crab.
Yeah.
That's hunting lah.
Yeah.
Whereas you put it in a claw machine, that's completely a natural environment, and it's also more from it's an entertainment machine lah, right? It's a carnival machine. It's not something that you use that is necessary in the process of hunting lah, right? So it is like what you say lah, is you're not respecting the source.
Extending the process.
Yeah, extending the pain,
process.
extending the process is not respectful of the original source or where it came from and how much pain the thing is going through. So So in that sense, it is disrespectful that way lah. And walking the thing and equating it to a pet is probably like the most. It's very demeaning also lah for the crab, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the jury's out as to whether the crab even knows what the fuck is going on, but it just feels like the caption really fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And then it just feels like it's a gimmick lah. But obviously they got more marketing out of it because we are talking about it.
Distasteful
Yeah.
to say the least.
Distasteful.
Yeah.
Distasteful indeed.
I mean, the crab might be really yummy, but the marketing actions are quite distasteful.
Unless the crab realizes this is marketing gimmick and somehow they're like, you know what, fuck it, they just like, I don't know, like excrete all this other shit, or like, you know, like just make the meat like just like a tougher lah.
No, I mean there are people who say that how the animal feels at the point that it dies and everything actually affects how the meat tastes, because of, you know, whatever chemicals or adrenaline that's secreted in the body and all and things like that lah. So there might be some truth to that actually.
Yeah. Come on, crabs.
Yeah, but yeah lah, let us know how you feel about this, because I think this one is tough for people who eat shellfish and meat to really, really, you know, have a very, very strong opinion on that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. All right.
Cool.
Moving on from a somber topic to something that makes us happy. Our One Shiok comment from the past few days.
Yes. And what is your One Shiok comment?
My One Shiok comment is from someone on Instagram who requested to be anonymous. But they just messaged us saying that they were researching podcast channels and they actually within 2 months they finished all our episodes.
2 months.
All our fucking episodes.
Shit.
And they said it almost felt like a summary of 2 years in 2 months. And I think ever since, I don't know whether it was you or one of our listeners who wrote on a Reddit post saying our podcasts are kind of like a time capsule. Just seeing it actually happen blows my mind, because first of all, to listen to all our episodes, a big thank you to you. But to kind of like also feel that after listening to all episodes, it felt like it was the past 2 years condensed. That's fucking amazing. Because if we carry on doing this for like 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine, like, for my kids next time, I won't even talk to them. I'll just say, go listen to my podcast. And you'll know everything about me.
Yeah.
And about me and Uncle Terrence.
That's what you tell your girlfriend.
Let me do my
already,
thing. Hey, fuck you.
Friday night, date night. Hey, how's your week? Go listen to my podcast. Don't talk to me. I want to rest.
Oh, what has been on your mind? Yeah, I spoke about it on his podcast 172. Here's the link. I sent you the link.
Last week I had a real good discussion with Sudhir, but here's the link to the podcast.
No lah, please.
Yeah, no, remember somebody did say that, the podcast is like, we're almost like replacing their real friends in real life already lah. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there is that danger.
So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
But what research were they doing?
Yeah.
Sorry?
No, just looking for podcast channels in Singapore.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
My
cool.
interesting comment of the week is of the last few days is by Sudin, which has, a long time listener also, who was responding to our series of podcasts with Sudhir lah, saying that but he calls out, saying that these 2 episodes were such a hot listen, and he's suggesting maybe we should get Sudhir on board more lah. Which I think we can lah, when the topics are right and everything lah, right? Like I think last week made a lot of sense with regards to race and all. But the interesting thing was his next paragraph was like, props to Terrence for insisting that Harish explain his fucking stupid line. That was a much needed check to the discussion. I thought Harish Sudhir didn't realize until Terrence explains how such strong statements do not add value to an already emotionally, racially charged discussion. Definitely. Yeah. So props to you for also seeing that lah. When someone uses language like that, it's that should be an alarm bell for you to say, wait, can you qualify yourself a bit first by why are you calling the person fucking stupid lah?
So you are choosing your comment because that comment complimented something you did. How fucking narcissistic can you be?
No. It's a learning point. That sometimes in life, it's easy to just sit there and then smile. Yeah, it's damn stupid. But sometimes in life, for the sake of truth, you have to be that person that just asks the extra question. Be like the Rafael Nadal of Roland Garros. You be the Rafael Nadal of debating also lah. Always ask back. Always never always try and return the ball lah, Always ask ask one more question. Ask why do you say that about that,
But since you're being so self-congratulatory, I think I explained why I used that line lah. And it wasn't just something trite lah. If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And I think that I said that in reference to the way PA posted their apology or press release to Sarah Baghreb lah.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing you want to highlight from that comment.
I mean,
the part that he complimented you.
No, it's not about compliment. I think that it's a very long comment and he makes very good points and everything. And but I'm just pointing out that someone picked up on that lah. That sometimes, especially in this moment when there's a lot of emotionally charged discussions, words matter. Words matter a lot. So that's why. Don't discount you just asking someone to quantify something, to qualify something lah. Don't discount the effect on other people that will have lah. Like when you dare to ask, then other people also dare to question. You see.
So next time when any of you are in an argument with your girlfriend or boyfriend and the person says, you've really fucking hurt me, you stop them and say, can you please qualify that? That's a very broad statement.
No.
We take a pause on this argument.
Yeah.
You please quantify why that fucking hurt you.
And then go and listen to episode 172 and 173 of the Yalabat podcast.
For a real life example.
Yeah, correct. But
cool.
Yes.
All right.
What is your one shiok
final
thing?
segment? My one shiok thing for the past few days is the latest Netflix comedy special by Mr. Bo Burnham.
Yeah.
I think I thought I told you about it at some point, but I realized that it was maybe off, not on a podcast.
Yeah.
So I will take the liberty to talk about it now.
Sure.
I mean, Bo Burnham is one of my favorite comedians of all time, and he blew up on YouTube 16 years ago when he was a 14-year-old just making songs in his room, and since then he kind of sped through the ranks and had his first two comedy specials. 16 years ago. That was when he first went viral on YouTube. 2006, 2005, 2006.
Oh, okay.
He was very early on in the process.
Okay.
And he was just like making songs in his room and very smart songs. So since then, he went through multiple comedy specials, and music is a big part of his performances. And then he was very open with his anxiety issues, which made him step away from performing, and he wrote and directed 8th Grade, which was a movie that was very, very highly rated. And this current special is called Inside, and it was done over the course of last year, and it was filmed, directed, edited by him. And I trust that there were no other crew around, because if you look at the thing, you can almost feel that intimacy.
Sure.
And I think why it's fucking good is because a lot of the shows you've seen come out recently over the past year, it almost bypasses the pandemic and bypasses the sentiments that everyone has been feeling, like feeling loss, helplessness, depression. And to see him do something so creative and so smart, but also show himself like crying on screen just because he was dealing with working on this alone and not knowing about the future, it fucking blew my mind. I love it.
So wait, he was crying because he was
he talks about. Because he talked about like it would be like songs interspersed with cutaways of him just looking to the camera, and he was just saying that he wanted to give himself 6 months to film the special. It went on to a year, but at the same time, he knows that if he finishes it, he won't have any more work. So part of him doesn't want to finish it, and it's a sentiment that I think anyone in the freelancing industry would feel. So it was just very, very deep. I didn't watch it in one setting because it's quite heavy.
Okay.
In one sitting, but it's really good.
Okay. Bo Burnham, what's the special called again?
Inside.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's great.
My One Shiok Things is also a Netflix series. It's the season 2 of Black Summer, which is a spin-off of the zombie show Z Nation. No, not really a spin-off, related, in the same universe as Z Nation. And I'm not sure if I ever spoke about season 1. But I think
you have.
I might have, yeah.
I remember you saying there was one episode where it's just one zombie chasing another person.
Yes, correct. So that was season 1, and it was pretty awesome, but it ended very ambiguously, so you really don't know what happened. So season 2 picks up where season 1 left off, except that season 1 was in summer. Season 2 is now entirely filmed in winter. So it's a very different vibe, different feel. And I know everyone has watched like Walking Dead and all these things, and you might be sick of it already. But this one, I feel like this series is easily one of the most underrated zombie shows that I've seen lah. Even counting like Kingdom and all these Train to
But
Busan.
what's so different about it? What's so different about it?
It just deals with a very ground up the ground up perspective of what's it like to be in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. So like Walking Dead deals with how humans are the real monsters, and we set up this enclaves and then we fight with each other just as we did, all these hundreds of years as well. So it's a very sociological view of the world, right? Whereas and then you watch something like Kingdom, it's also somewhat similar, right? But it occurs during the imperial period, but it's also still a very sociological view of like the world. Whereas I feel like Black Summer really focuses on the individuals, each struggling with their own issues, and then how they're dealing with the pandemic in the same time. Dealing with the zombie outbreak at the same time. And even just down to the basic things of how they manage to survive hordes of zombies chasing them and things like that. So they keep it very, very real, very raw. A lot of fantastic one-take action scenes that will keep your heart racing, and then just you can just binge all the way through it, because there's no real. I wouldn't say it is episodic that way, There's no like. It feels more like you're reading a book with multiple chapters, and then some chapters are short, some chapters are long, but in the end the characters converge somehow as well.
So it always boggles my mind how people can still make the zombie genre fresh.
It's pretty impressive how they've done it for this one. If you have the stomach for zombie movies, of course, I think because of the pandemic, they also had to stop production for a while. But I think if this came out during the pandemic, I'll be a bit sian to watch it, because there's a pandemic going on and we're stuck at home, and then now why watch this zombie apocalypse thing?
Yeah, you can't escape.
Yeah. But now I think now is an okay time to move on beyond that kind of self-defeating depression, right? Yeah.
That is cool.
Black Summer.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Black Summer. That's cool. As always, we'll put the links in the show notes.
Yep.
And yeah, that brings us to the end of this episode.
Cool,
man. Cool. We should be having a guest later this week. We will announce who in the coming days on our subreddit.
Yeah.
So if you want to find out, or if you want to participate in any of the wonderful discussions that happen after every of our episodes, head on over to our subreddit. The link is in the show notes.
All right.
Cool, man. All right. Peace.